Good afternoon, Bulldog fans, and welcome to In the Red Zone with head football coach Ryan Taylor. Coach, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Yes,
it's been a couple of weeks. It's a beautiful day today, a beautiful day for football.
It is.
We've got a lot to talk about leading up to today's game, but I want to kick things off with the final conference standings before we've begun this playoff push here. TJC had a conference record of 6-1. They were 6-3 overall, finished first. We came in second, and currently we are ranked number 6 in the nation. And we came in with a 5-2 conference record. We were 6-2 overall. Third place is Kilgore with a 4-3 record. They are 6-3 overall. And then Cisco is 4-3 in conference and 4-4 overall. Trinity Valley, Blinn, Northeast, and NIMI all finished in that order in the conference. Coach, what took place in these last 2 weeks of the regular season to enable us to move up from our third spot when we talked last into second place and being able to host a game?
Well, number one is you got to win, and we had to win 2 games in order for this, the playoff scenario to have shapen out. We were tied with Kilgore for a couple weeks, but with them losing to NEO last week, that bumped them with one more loss than what we had. So we took that number 2 spot. They went down to number 3, and then the really big game this weekend was also the Cisco and the Blinn game, because the winner of that game was going to the playoffs because they were tied as well. And the Cisco ended up winning that game, and actually they beat Kilgore earlier in the season, so they had the head-to-head. So they actually jumped Kilgore for the number 3 ranked team in the conference, and Kilgore ended up number 4. So, a 1 plays 4 and a 2 plays 3 for the semis, and that's where we got Cisco here in a little bit. So that's how it kind of shaped out. But it was a good year this year in the conference, man. It came down to the last week, just like it always does. So.
Boy, it sure does. Our conference is one of the toughest conferences, if not the toughest conference in the NJCAA.
I agree with that.
It's tough. Before we get into today's game, we've had 2 weeks of play. The last time we sat down and talked was before we played Tyler at home, which was a big game. At the time, they were undefeated coming into the game. We had a lot that we needed to get accomplished, and having a win against Tyler was our goal because that just moved us closer to where we wanted to be. And we came out big and won that game 49-24. In the first half, we had a commanding lead, 35-10. And then as the second half played out, we were even there with a 14-14 score from that end of it, which led up to a 49-24 final. Coach, let's talk about just the overall game, and then I'll go into some different stats, and we can talk specifically offense and defense.
Well, I'll tell you what, the TJC game was a good one. Man, they have a really good ball team. They got a lot of good players on their team as well. I was proud of the guys and how they fought, how we came out. I feel like offensively we came out really hot. We scored on the first couple of possessions. Defense held them, and we kind of took a commanding lead there. And at that point we had to kind of try to play keep away from them and kind of run out the clock, but also trying to get the victory. But there was a lot of guys that stepped up and made plays. I really was proud of our receiving corps. We had about 4 or 5 different guys have touchdown catches. Mason and Ryan both threw the ball really well and managed the game. We had a tough day in the office running the ball, which they were really stout up front. But there's something we're going to try to do. We're going to try to hold our head on, on trying to run the football. But it just was like we were running into a wall. And we had to kind of adjust some things and kind of open up some things in the passing game. But I was really proud of the guys and how we have kept our preparation week in and week out, knowing that each game is a must-win. We've embraced the pressure of it. And it's a really good group to be around every day. I'm just excited about our growth and how we've came along the whole season. It was a big win, out at Tyler. And, I think we might see them again in the postseason, but we'll just kind of see how that all plays itself out. We got to get through today first.
Well, I'm with you on that. I feel like your team has responded very, very well, and they've gone from that stretch there where we had 2 defeats back to back, and then they've hit the go button, And I think all you've done is begin to climb that mountain, and I don't think there's any stopping us with the momentum that we have right now. Let's talk offensively. One thing that stuck out to me, and you and I talked about it before we came on the air, but it was the third down efficiency offensively, 75% on third down efficiency. So the third and short, third and medium, third and long, you're getting first downs and keeping those drives alive. And the way we played, those things ended up into touchdowns for us, ended up into scores that, against an undefeated team that ought to just give the offense confidence, and I felt like it did in that game.
Well, I'll say this. I think our receivers made some big catches. They made some really good contested catches. Some balls that could have went the other way easily. I thought Mason and Ryan both really threw it well too, and they really saw the field really well. I think that's a big thing on third down conversions. When you look at that, on the stat sheet after the game, and you kind of see where your correlation is on a win and a loss with that as well. So I think that was really good, but I think it just comes back to our weekly preparation, with seeing those third down blitzes. I mean, that's something we do every single Thursday. We go through third down scenarios and our 2-minute scenario, and that's just what we've done the past 10 weeks, and it's really starting to pay off. So I'm really proud of them.
I would be too, and it is paying off. And you mentioned Mason and Ryan. Mason Short threw for 314 yards and had 4 TD passes. Ryan Shackleton came in. He had a TD pass and a rush TD. Like you said, they held us pretty much in check on the running game. But Tim Burns was the leading receiver. He had 5 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Aaron Woods, Malachi Jackson, Chris Lewis, each had TD catches that you had mentioned as well. So throwing the ball, getting it in the air really helped us move the ball down the field and score.
Just got to keep finding a way to win. I think that's the biggest thing.
Whatever works, you keep going. Defensively, let's talk about third down efficiency. We held them to 30% third down efficiency, so very impressive going against an undefeated conference team to do what we did defensively, keeping them down to that 30%.
Hey, that's huge. It's just the flip side of what we just mentioned.
Yes.
Anytime that's on a low percentage, I think that's a good execution deal. And it's the same as far as our defense on Thursdays. We go through third downs on defense. All what the offense is doing. So I mean, it's just the preparation. I can't say enough of that, because at this point in the season, everybody knows who everybody is as far as the opposing teams. Like, the film's out there. There's no hiding it. It's all about your preparation. And I think that our guys are really doing a good job. Our coaches are doing a good job. I mean, I'm just really proud of the whole team. So,
well, and deservedly so, for sure. Your leaders, the typical leaders, and I'll name them.
They stay steady every week.
God, they do stay steady. Kamuri Butts had 10 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a quarterback hurry. Aubrey Smith had 6 tackles. Cameron Penny had 6 tackles. And we had 5 total sacks against Tyler. Moses Metabuke, Dallas Patrick, Jordan Ford, Tylen Garrett, and Braylon Ward made up those 5 sacks. So overall, defensively, put a lot of pressure on them, did a great job controlling their game plan and, keeping them from controlling the clock. Overall, defensively, I think, and playing against a 6-0 team, I think the guys responded very, very well defensively.
Man, I'll say this, and I probably should have bragged on it earlier this week, but, defensively, against Tyler, we had 3 starters out in the secondary. So, we had Johnny Colley step up, Taj DeGreat, Malcolm Gooden. I can't say enough about those 3 guys stepping into the role and just being the next man up and not even blinking. Just stepping in, making great tackles, being where they're supposed to be, communicating. And that's at this point in the season, we're banged up. Everybody's banged up. It's that next man up mentality, and we can't miss a beat. And, to be a 2 for the majority of the season and to step in and be a starter, and, that's just saying a lot about our character of our team. And, it's just a good group to go to work with every day. So.
Well, you guys you're working on getting to that peak at the right time for sure. So, very successful against Tyler, moved us into our final game against New Mexico Military and heading over to play in the Wool Bowl. You talked a little bit about it before we got on the air. the difference in temperature.
Oh, yeah.
How was that compared to what we've been playing in over this way?
Well, it was a lot cooler. I'll say that. It felt like football. I think it was about 60 to 65 degrees all day long. Nice cool breeze out there, and it was a beautiful day. And it's always, it's always better when you get to win, especially on a long road trip like that. It started off on Friday. As far as our road trip, we left out, stopped at Tarleton, had a little walk through at Tarleton's nice little new stadium. We got our lunch and then kept on going out to Roswell, about a 5-6 hour trip out there. And, we stayed the night on Friday night and then had a good day on Saturday and then got on the bus and headed back. So it's been a long past weekend, but, it's good to get another home game this week.
Well, and it's that bus ride back was a whole lot more enjoyable with that 48-28 win for sure. Offensively, 547 total yards, and we scored in every quarter of that particular game. So talk to us and give us a little overview of how that game played out for us.
Well, it's just it's just wild, when you see just new guys each week step up, and Sean Brown had 3 catches and 2 touchdowns. Really could have had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns on that very last one. He had a huge game for us. Braylon Finney had probably his best game of the season. He had 2 long touchdown catches, over 100 yards receiving. We had 3 guys over 100 yards receiving. With Tim Burns, another steady performance by him. And Malachi Jackson, he's just continued to step up and make great catches. And just like I mentioned, Mason and Ryan are really seeing the field really well right now. I think both of them had over an 80% completion percentage for Saturday, and that's huge. I thought offensively we were very in sync and very sound. We really did a good job with the game plan and executing that, and the offensive coaches did a great job getting that going. It's just been our offense is really playing at a high level right now, and we're really throwing the ball around all over, and there's a lot of guys getting involved. It's not just one guy, there's a lot of receivers in that group, just week in and week out that are stepping up and making big plays for us. And, if we can continue that, man, we're going to be tough to stop on that side of the ball. But I thought defensively, it was another good day. We really got ahead of them early, and they were able to play kind of keep away again. And, I thought we had another good game from Butts, from J.P. Patterson. He had a 10-tackle game. Malcolm Gooden had another good, he had another good game, was very productive. Tylon Garrett was very productive. So I think these guys are playing really good right now. And it's a lot of guys on defense that are, that have been 2s all season long, and now they're starters. And, man, they're just playing at a good level. It's the next guy up mentality that we've been talking about. And, they're really embracing that. So it's been good.
And it sure does make you breathe a lot easier, doesn't it?
And it's just a good group of guys to go to work with.
Well, let's talk about some of those guys. Let's talk offensively first. You mentioned Mason and Ryan. Well, Mason threw for 359 yards. He had 3 TDs and 1 interception. Ryan was perfect. He was 9 for 9.
Yep.
Only threw for 81 yards, but that's no big deal, and had a TD pass there. Darrell Green and Mason Shorb each had a rushing TD. We kind of got held in check there, rushing the ball, and we didn't have a big rushing attack. And like you said, we had 3 receivers that were over 100 yards in receiving. You mentioned Sean; he had 148 yards and 2 TDs. Braylon Finney had 114 yards in receptions. He also had 2 TDs, and then Tim Burns comes in with 113 yards, but no TDs there. But you scoring every quarter and putting that much more pressure on the team, it shows by your offense production there for sure. Defensively, you mentioned J.P. Patterson. Those 10 tackles were all solo tackles. We aren't talking about
coming from the
getting
safety
an assist.
position too.
Yes.
He's coming downhill making some good plays.
He is making plays.
Yep.
Cameron Penny had 7 tackles and a sack. Tylon Garrett had 7 tackles and a tackle for a loss. You mentioned Kamori. He had 6 tackles and a sack. Dallas Patrick had 6 and a tackle for a loss. Julio Dominguez had 4 tackles. He also had a sack. And then Johnny Cawley had 3 tackles and an interception there. So defensively, you had a lot of people making plays and making some big plays with those sacks, interceptions, and the tackles for losses there. So you're right about the production.
It's a team defensive effort, and it's something that we've been talking about the past month is playing team defense, 11 hats to the ball every single time and swarming. And if we can continue to do that, especially now when we talk about the postseason now, I can go in the playoffs and trying to make a playoff run, defense is going to win championships, and that is just in every program, at every level, that is the constant. When you start talking about postseason play, defense has got to lead you, and it's what's going to bring home the rings. And I think if we continue to play that, that style and that brand of football, team defense, unselfish play, everybody getting to the football, I think we've got a serious chance. But the road's going to be hard. We just got to go out 1 week at a time and just try to go 1-0 and just put our best efforts every Saturday. So,
and you've been striking these teams on both sides of the ball. When you talk about somebody striking somebody, you're talking more defensively. Defensively, you're talking about a tough, mentally hard-nosed, go get them, we're going to strike you kind of player. But offensively, when you throw the ball and with some of the catches that the guys are making, it's not like that they're able to catch a pass just like this all the time. They're in coverage. Balls are thrown.
Tough contested catches.
Oh, absolutely. And coaches do say, hey, man, just throw the ball up and give him a chance. If somebody's on him, throw it up and give him a chance.
That's right.
And those chances are paying off because of the caliber of athletes you have out on the edge. So overall, you're right. Just every aspect of your game right now is very, very positive, very solid, and to me, it's very dominant. And I think you guys have done a great job leading up to today's game.
I appreciate that.
So let's talk about today's game. This will be the second meeting with Cisco, and like you said, everybody's being banged up. Everybody's got all the film. In this case, everybody's played everybody once. So going into this game, and it being a semifinal conference playoff game, what's your approach, or do you do anything and change anything in your approach in preparation for today's game?
Well, we had a team meeting on Monday, which we normally have every single Monday after our game, and I told them we're not changing anything. We're not going to change our practice schedule. We're not going to change our approach. We're going to keep being who we are. We're just going to keep trying to find a way to get better, And I think there's a different, I have felt it all week long in practice, but there's a different sense in the air. There's a different feel. Guys know that it is the playoffs. Guys know that next week is not guaranteed if you do not handle business this week. So there's a little more pressure in a sense, and you're either going to embrace that in the playoffs or you're going to try to shy away from it. It might be too much for you. And I think that for the past month, we've been playing in pressure situations that it's basically must win if you want your season to continue. But I think the guys have really responded well this week, and they're really taking the challenge well. And we understand the first time we went over to Cisco, we barely got out of there, and we barely won the game. And Cisco's a really good football team. They got a really good quarterback who does a great job. They got a salty defense. They're very well coached. Those guys, they're doing a great job, and it's not by accident that they got into the playoffs. I'll say that. They have beat some really good teams. We have got to go put our best foot forward, but I think our guys are playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think we're hungry. I think we have understood that the first time we played them, all right, we barely got out of there alive, and we had to go look at our mistakes, go look at ourselves in the mirror and understand we cannot allow that to happen again, of the things that got us in that position. And it was a multitude of things. It wasn't just one or two things. We had to clean up some things and put our best foot forward. And I think the guys have done that since that game, and now we got them at home. So it's a whole different feel now. Now we don't have to make that trip to West Texas, So I think the guys are going to be really ready for the moment. I'm excited to see them play. This is the easiest day of, as far as what I do, Saturdays and game days, hey, man, I just go let the guys play and let's just go have at it. So, man, I'm excited about it.
Well, good. Answer this question. Since you have played them, you've seen tape on Cisco, is there any change in the way they've approached their last few games in the season?
They're kind of like us. They have stayed true to who they are, and I think they're playing a really good brand of football right now as well. They're playing really good team defense. They got a really good defense, and they present problems to you if you do not prepare and get your eyes right and make sure that you know your assignment. And they're led by their quarterback offensively. I mean, that guy is, he's getting it done. He's one of the better quarterbacks in our conference. He's really, really, really good whenever the play breaks down and he has to improvise on a scramble drill per se whenever he gets to moving. That's where he's really dangerous. So we got to contain him, and we got to bring pressure, and we got to keep him guessing. So that's what we got to do.
That's a big must on defense.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's never easy.
So offensively, well, let's just say overall, what do you feel like are some musts that the guys need to be able to do on the field today?
Well, I think the past couple of weeks we have not ran the ball like I have wanted. We've had some struggles. Now, we've been banged up as well, too, up front and at the running back room. But we have balanced that out with a good passing game. But we can't be one-dimensional in the playoffs. We got to be able to find an effective running game to be able to keep the defense off balance. I think we're finally getting back healthy up front. I think that's been key. I think we're getting back healthy in that running back room as well. Clay and Brundage are 1 and 2 backs. They've been pretty much banged up since week 3. And we've pretty much only had one of those guys for all of these games since week 3. And now we finally got both of them ready. And I think that's going to be key. Now I hope they go out and they play well. But I think they've prepared well. They practice hard. They're getting themselves, as far as their bodies, ready to go. Get up front, we understand the challenge. That we got to own the line of scrimmage, and we've got to develop a running game if we want to make a push in the playoffs. So,
well, and that brings up the point, as a coaching staff, you can't panic and think, oh man, we've got to completely overhaul this. You just stress even more.
Yep.
Knowing your responsibility,
little things,
understanding alignments, working together as in a combo or double teams and all those kind of things.
Yep.
You just stress those more instead of having wholesale changes.
Yes. You cannot go out there and reinvent everything that you've been doing that's gotten you to, all the way up to this point. We are who we are, and I think it's just all about the little things, the pre-snap eyes, your adjustments, your assignments, your alignment, all those little things that dictate how the play really is. It's got to be on point, and we've got to be 100% on that, And if we stay close to that, I think we've got a really good chance to win the ball game. So.
Defensively, okay, so that's offensively. Defensively, what is one or two musts that's got to happen?
We've got to contain and pressure their quarterback.
Okay.
We've got to make him feel a little antsy back there, and that's our goal this week. Now that's 11 guys on defense doing that. Now that's not just the front 7. That's them back guys too, because they got they got a lockdown coverage.
Yes.
And we got to be on point with our assignments and our alignment back there. That's crucial with them. But up front, we have got to continue to find a way to get to the quarterback and get home. And get home on our blitzes and find a way to hit him and keep him off his balance. I think we've got to just continue to give him different looks and pressure. I think that's the biggest thing. So, but he's good. That's what I think makes this quarterback that we're playing really good, is he senses that. He's got a real good feel of the game. And he senses it, and he does a good job just evading it and improvising and finding that receiver, and that's what he's been doing all year. So we got to find a way to eliminate that. So.
Well, you've been doing that. It shows by all the sacks that you've had, the quarterback pressures and hurries that you've created in those last 2 weeks. So you're on the right track. You've been successful these last few weeks, so it's not something that you're going to have to come up with this extravagant game plan in order to try to figure out how to get to them. You've been able to do that. It's all about just the execution piece now.
Yes, sir. That's all it's coming down to. That's playoff football.
That's exactly right. So as we talk more about playoff football, let's talk about the end result of today's game, the championship game, and after the championship game, what takes place? What is a result of, or what's in store for the champion of this playoffs?
Well, the only thing that's important right now for us is today's game. If we do not handle business today, nothing else matters. If we win, we advance to the conference championship. which will be the winner of the Tyler and the Kilgore game for the Southwest Junior College Championship. That will be the conference champion winner, and that'll be the end of our conference. Now, we've done a good job as far as our national ranking, putting ourselves in position to be in the talks for the Final Four of the national playoff scenario. If we win these next 2 games, I think we would be right there on the cusp of it. I think we'll be in the consideration of that 4th-ranked team, but there's got to be some other teams lose and win. Like, there's still some shuffling of the deck. The postseason is inevitable. I think that if we continue to win and things don't work out in that sense, we'll still be able to get a bowl game invite. I think we've done a good job this season putting ourselves in position for that. So I think there's still a lot to play for, a lot. And I think you got a chance to really bring home some championship trophies and have a great season, and I think that it's all there for the taking, but we just got to continue to be a very hungry football team. And I think if we're hungry and we don't get complacent, because there's a lot of people patting our backs right now, telling us that we're doing a good job. And I think if we can continue to be a hungry football team, like I mentioned, I think we've got an exceptional chance. But that's not going to happen if that mindset isn't there. If we go in there complacent and just expecting things to happen, somebody else to make the play, it's not going to happen. We're going to, we'll be on the wrong end of the stick. So that's what we got to do. And I think we're excited about the challenge. All of our guys understand the scenario. I mean, I broke it down to them on Monday in the team meeting exactly what's going to happen if this, and this happen. And we're excited about the future. This next month and a half, there's still a lot of football to be played. So we're just going to go take it 1 week at a time and go handle business today against them Wranglers.
And it starts, like you said, you got to get past today first. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful day for the game of football. It's a beautiful day for you to match up against Cisco, and it's also beautiful that you're at home.
Yep.
And you don't have to, like you said, go out to West Texas and visit Cisco again. You had enough the last visit. So, Coach, we wish you the best. We appreciate your time and sharing with us, and we look forward to a good football game today.
I appreciate it. It's going to be a great one.
It'll be a good one. You've heard it here first with the head coach of the Bulldog football team, Ryan Taylor. I'm your host, Richie Cottrell. We're glad that you've joined us. Now we'll turn the pregame over to Scott and Michael back at the stadium before the kickoff between the Navarro Bulldogs and the Cisco Wranglers. Go Bulldogs.
Go.